If we remember from last time, Joseph was the son of Jacob. He was one of 12 sons, and there were reasons why the other sons didn't like him. In fact, there were 4 reasons. The first reason was that he was the favourite son of his dad, and that's never a good thing. The second reason was because he was the favoured son, he was given this very ornate robe with colours on it. The third reason is that the father used to send Joseph out to check on the brothers to see they were doing their job properly and bring back a report, and they didn't like that very much. The fourth reason they didn't like Joseph, as we looked at last week, is he had these dreams from God. And in the dream, the first dream he had, he said that I was a wheat sheaf, and you guys are all wheat sheaves as well, and all of you guys were bowing down to me. You were bowing down to me. Now, he wasn't the oldest son, but they didn't like that. Now, when you tell someone a dream that you're going to be bowing down to me, you've got to read their body language and you've got to read their faces. And the brothers said, we don't like this. Do you think you're going to reign over us? And I'm sure they weren't doing it with a jokey, smiley face. They were really mad that Joseph said this. It would make most people think to themselves, next time I get a dream, maybe I'll keep it to myself. No, not Joseph. So he gets another dream. And this time he dreams about the sun and the moon and 11 stars. You can see where this is going, can't you? And he has a dream, and in the dream he says that the sun and the stars were all bowing down to him. What does that mean? Well, there's 11 brothers, there's 11 stars, there's the sun, which was representative of his dad, and the moon, that was the representative of his mum. So he goes to them and says, hey guys, guess what? I've had another dream, and you're going to love this one. What happens in this dream is that you are all bowing down to me. And it's not just the brothers this time. Now the dad gets to hear about it, and the mum, and they're not very pleased either. After that, the brothers decide we've really had enough of this Joseph. And so the father sends him out again to check up on what the sons are doing. They're in a place called Dothan, where they're looking after the sheep, and he tracks them down, and they see him coming from some way off. And I'm guessing it's because of this coat that he was wearing. They see him from some way off, and they say to themselves, let's kill this dreamer. We're not going to bow down to him. Let's make it so we never ever have to bow down to him at all. So as they see him coming, they grab him, and they're not bowing down to him at all. What they do, in fact, rather than bowing down to him, they're actually throwing him in a pit. There he is in the pit, and they're looking down at him. They say, let's kill him and throw him in this pit. And one of the brothers, Reuben, he says, no, let's not do this. He says, this would be a terrible sin. It's already a bad thing what they're doing, but he says, let's not kill our brother. He says, let's instead just put him in this pit while we figure out what to do. Now, Reuben's plan was to bring him back safely to his father Jacob. But Reuben leaves the other brothers for a while, and the other brothers say, okay, Reuben said not to kill him, let's do that, but instead, let's sell him. Some Midianite merchants are coming past, and so they get Joseph out of the pit, and they sell Joseph to them. Do you think he still has his coat on? No, they've taken that off him because that represents everything that they hate about Joseph. They take him out of the pit and they sell him. They take the coat, they put blood on it, and then they give a report back to his father that a wild animal has killed him. They have done everything they can to make sure they will never bow down to him. And we're going to find out what happens to Joseph next week. But it reminded me of this. You know, there are times when we just don't want to bow down to anybody. And when Jesus came to earth, he came with a message from God. He came to tell us what we needed to do. He came as one who was worthy of all of our worship. How did people respond? They said in their hearts, we will not bow down to this man. We hate him, even though what he's telling us is true and good. And so what happened is that they made plans to kill him, just as these brothers did with Joseph. And Joseph becomes a kind of Jesus. When they sold Joseph to the Midianites, they took 20 pieces of silver. When Jesus was betrayed, Judas got 30 pieces of silver. There are so many parallels with this story. But Jesus says to us this, that just as these brothers eventually did have to bow the knee to Joseph, the message is, why couldn't they have just done it earlier? Why couldn't they have just taken God at his message and done what he said? And Jesus comes to us now. He says, I am the Son of God. I am the one before whom I deserve all worship. Ultimately, every tongue will confess, every knee will bow before me. Why do we wait until we get to see him? And then we're forced to do it. How much better that we willingly bow the knee now and say, yes, Lord, I may not have always liked what you say because it's a challenge to who I am and the sins that are in me, but let me go your way. Let me do what you say. Let me bow the knee now and save myself all that trouble later and bow the knee willingly as the friend of Jesus Christ.